today we're going to get to know the 5S, not only the 5 typical steps, but we're also going in detail with the 15 micro step of the 5S method. You're going to understand the importance of a work environment that is organized, safe, and clean. We're going to have tons of examples of tooling, but also office environment. I always say that 5S is good for your life. It's a mindset that you will incorporate. So we're gonna go into the details on why it is important and what are the different steps that you need to take, but it's always up to you, up to your creativity on how you want to implement it to make it more efficient for you. So we're gonna learn also to identify and eliminate waste, understand the importance also of self-organization, which is what we want to achieve in a company. So the difference with 5S and other methods is that it's a way to organize not only you, but also organize your teams so that you're able to make decisions. You're able to work better together without a lead. That doesn't mean that we don't need a lead, but it means that each employee knows exactly what they need to do whenever they see a trigger, like for example, something that is out of place, they already know that they have to organize it, that they have to put it back to the right place. So that's what we're trying to achieve with this course. Help teams work better together, and we're gonna see some examples of that. Then we're also going to identify the care values, which is something that is usually not discussed in 5S training. 5S training is usually in many companies like tell you how you have to organize things, but it doesn't focus on the behavior of the people. So the way I teach 5S is very much focused on the behavior of people, how you really convince them that 5S is important. And the way we're gonna talk about it, they are not gonna learn only how to organize their tools, but they will learn a different mindset that will help them in different aspects of their life. So that way they incorporate 5S to the way they live, the way they work. So wherever they are, even if they move to a position or they move to another company, they will keep having these new habits. And that's what we need to achieve because it's a long-term change. All right. Okay, any questions so far?
No.
All right, excellent. So let's continue. So this, you're gonna see in the presentation that I'm gonna show tons of pictures because to me 5S is very visual. We have to make this method super simple for everyone to understand. It's applicable also in kindergarten, so it has to be super simple. So right now I'm gonna show you pictures about what real companies sometimes go through. So what do you see here in this picture?
It's a mess.
It's a mess, right?
I see my desk.
Yeah, this is a common desk. I mean, it's one company, but I've seen this in many companies, right? You see food, you see tools, you see documentation. The keyboard is not clean. So imagine how can you work here? Is that right? But as Seti said, sometimes it looks like, well, this is, I need to have very close to me, or I need to have top of mind the things that I need to do. So that is correct, but we have to organize the things that we need to do so that they're really good reminders of what we need to do. If we have so many things on top of our desk, there's no way we can organize or we can set priorities for what we need to do. If you look at this desk, do you have any idea of what the next thing that the person has to do? know, right? Maybe he wants to eat some snacks, or maybe he has to stamp something, or maybe he has to check all these personal cards and call someone, or maybe he has to get all these, buy new parts for this machine. I mean, you have no idea. So what we have to achieve with 5S is make it easier for not only for the person but for the entire team to know what exactly the next steps that the person needs to take. Why? Because we want to make sure that whenever this person is out, or for whatever reason, maybe temporary, or maybe he's taking vacations, or suddenly he has to be out of the office, we know exactly what is missing and what needs to be done. And something more important that you mentioned before is that 5S can also be applied for remote teams. Why? Because we are gonna teach people how to organize their own desk, like in the case of Eddie. So when people don't have the habits of being organized, what happens is that they get delayed on task. They spend time looking for things or for documents, and it's very hard to identify what's missing for him to do. But the other thing is some companies are nowadays are being half remote, half in the office. Maybe it's 50%. They go to the office and 3 days they work from home. So whenever they leave documentation in the office and maybe someone will cover up for them, it's good that this person sets everything well organized so that you know exactly what has to be done. Whenever the next person comes, they know what needs to be done. This is the same for shifts. Whenever we have a manufacturing company that have a night shift and a day shift, 5S is very important because it helps organize whatever comes next to do. Whenever I see when I talk to these teams, the first thing they always complain is that whenever they come back to their shift, everything is out of place. It's not how they left it, and they leave all the things dirty. They leave. Well, there are more pictures here. There maybe leave the bicycle on their workstation, or maybe they leave tools around, or they just cannot find them, or maybe they have a tool that is not charged. So it's very difficult whenever they go back to their shift to start working. They have to set up for half an hour or more. And sometimes they cannot even find the right tools. So this is where 5S is very important. Well, this is another example. What do you see here?
Clutter.
Yep.
It doesn't look quite as messy as the desk.
Imagine this is a place where the customers come in and they go through this passage and they go to buy something at the end of the corridor. Would you like your clients to see something like this?
No.
No. Now, go and see in detail, right? You have a vacuum cleaner, you have clutter, as you mentioned, you have also the walls that are deteriorated, the paint is looking terrible, look at the floors. So these are a lot of messages that you're sending to the customers, but not only to the customer, but also to your internal customers, to your employees. That you can leave your bicycle wherever you want because maybe it's fine for you, then it's nobody cares about it, right? Whenever the trash can is full, we just leave the trash on top of one of the machines, that's fine. We don't take care of the floor, so you're leaving a lot of messages like you don't care, like it's okay, and this is okay. So whenever the company allows these messages to go out, the employees just receive this unconscious message. So whenever they see something wrong, they see a bag that is out of place, they see a vacuum cleaner that is out of place, what do you think they will do?
They don't want to deal with your company.
Yeah, I mean, they won't do nothing because they say, well, the company allows for that. That's fine. I'm not gonna take care of this. No one will. So why should I take care of it, right? So this is the common behavior. This is also found in our company, in a very important company. You see all these pallets outside, right? This is good material, but it's outside. What happens when it rains? It gets ruined, right? Do you see what else do you see here? Someone that you can highlight, something that you can highlight.
Well, you got, it looks like recycled stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
it might be wrong. Recycling in the midst, mixed in with good product.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You have things that are mixed, things that need to be removed or that are waste, maybe are mixed with things that are good, but you cannot tell, right? You are not sure. There's no way for you to figure out exactly what's going on here, right?
Correct.
So, and what else?
Looks like the one pallet's gonna fall off.
Yeah, that's something else. Safety issues, right? And why do you see a safety issue? Do you see any standards that help employees on how to organize this?
Yeah, there's no identification, no labels.
No labels, no standards on the floor on really, are you okay leaving all these things here? Because there's no mark saying, well, what's the limit, the upper limit, or what type of material should be organized, or how these things should be organized. There are some things that may be similar, but they are not organized the same way, right? And the last one, this is also something that was found in a company. What do you think about this?
It
Don't
looks,
drink water from it.
yeah, it looks like you don't want to drink that water.
Exactly, you don't want to drink that water, but this is in your office. Why wouldn't you as an employee make sure this is clean? Because I don't think this been for 1 week to the other, right? They just forgot. This been for several days or several weeks, right? So, well, again, this is a message that you as a company are sending to your employees that that you don't care about that, and the employees keep receiving the message. So, what happens in the end? You have a lot of people not getting their commitments. You have late arrivals, tools are unattended, safety requirements are not met. People, whenever they leave their shift, they don't clean, they don't respect the other person that is coming, deadlines are missed, steps are skipped, because maybe in the past someone was involved was in charge of cleaning that water supplier, but for some reason someone forgot and then no one else did it anymore, right? So why do you think this happens? Any ideas?
Lack of commitment.
Do some training.
Yeah, that's fine. Lack of commitment is one. Lack of training. Yeah. In many cases, employees say that they feel like nobody cares about them, or so the employees then start not caring about the company either, right? So what we have next is that we are losing a lot of money, the company and the employees. You have wasted resources because whenever sometimes you cannot find the right things, or sometimes, as we said, as we saw before, good products are mixed with bad products. Sometimes even it's very easy to make mistakes. Sometimes you can throw away things that are good, or sometimes you can store things that are not needed. So that requires a lot of space. And space is expensive. Maybe in your house you don't realize, but whenever you are working, space is expensive. Then you get stressed. You get stressed out because you cannot find your items. And this impacts a lot. We can see this in the healthcare industry. For example, we have 44,000 Americans dying each year and 40 to 50% of the hospital errors take place in the operating room. And you may think that the operating room is the best place, the most organized place in the world. Many companies, when I'm teaching them on 5S, they say, well, this is not an operating room. It doesn't have to be so clean. This is a manufacturing company, right? But there are two things that we could discuss. One is that operating rooms are not always as clean and as organized. As you can see in these statistics, 81% of the errors that take place in the operating room are due to unnecessary distractions and interruptions. And this is basically because they don't have the right tools, so they have to go out of the room to get them, or because whenever they are operating, the tools are not in the right place, so they just, you know, don't have the right tools wherever they need them. And the other comment that I said that we can discuss is that, yes, your manufacturing plant can also look like an operating room. It all depends how you work. But you will define the rules. Today we're gonna see a lot of pictures, a lot of examples, but I cannot tell you how you want or how your location should look like. This is something that you will have to define. So you have different levels of 5S. You can go from everything looking like an operating room, super clean, super organized, or you can go to a middle ground. It depends on, you know, you have to analyze cost benefits for you, all right? But you have to know that as much as you can organize everything, it's more like a habit for the employees that everything needs to be organized. So the excuse, oh, this is not an operating room, this is a manufacturing company, or this is a tooling place. No, with your tools, as much or when you are more organized, you are much more effective. And you get effective also in other areas of your life, as we're gonna see later on. So we're not going to talk about only about 5S today, but we're also taking into consideration the care values. And this is something very important that I highlight a lot in 5S courses, because again, 5S is in many cases considered only a tool to help people tag items, and that's it. But it's actually a behavioral change. So we need to learn 4 main things in order to implement 5S the right way. And the first one has to do with connection. We have to understand, and we have to make our team understand that each person is part of a team. So Eddie, you have a team right now, or you will be implementing only 5S at home?
I'm only implementing it at home. Okay. I'm on a team, but it's just me and my boss. And as of, we haven't actually met face to face. I mean, I've known her for a number of years, but since I've been hired, I just contract with her, but we've only met each other online.
Okay. Okay. So we'll see.
My office. My office is the main goal.
All right. So you live on your own, and you have family that you live with?
My wife.
All right. So she will be part of your team too. All right. Okay. She will be impacted by this. And Brian, you lead a team? Sorry?
Yes.
Yeah. You lead a team. Okay. So how many people you are supervising?
It varies from 1 to 5 to 10 people. It just depends on the moment.
Okay. Excellent. So this is a great point then to understand that 5S is something that the leader has to know very well, but your role as a leader is not to do all the organization. So it's not that you just need to grasp all the things that we learned today and then you just do it yourself. The best thing that you can do is train your teams that they can do it themselves, okay? It's great that you know about 5S because you will be able to guide them. Many companies only teach the employees and don't teach the leaders, or teach the leaders and don't teach the employees. Well, everyone needs to be trained because each of you will have a different role in 5S. So that's why the care is so important, because the first part that you need to know is that each employee will have a different role will have a specific area where they will be working on, and whatever they do on that area will impact other areas. That's the connection. We are all part of a process, and that's something that in many companies are not really understood by the employees because they are not trained that way. They just care about their part of the process, and that's it. They have to understand and see the connection whenever they make a mistake or whenever they don't charge a tool or they leave it out of place, how it impacts others. Then the second part of it is paying attention to small details, like we were seeing on the pictures, the wall being deteriorated, or food on the tables. Those little things are signals to the employees. So we need to pay attention to those things that are on the wherever the employee works. So if we are working in a company, it's very important that you as a leader work a lot, not just on the theory of 5S, but whenever where the employee works, when they have the workstation, or whenever they have a toolbox, open that toolbox and see what's inside. So we have to go to the details. And also we have to see KPIs and information. We have to grasp as much information as we can to be able to improve 5S. Again, it's not only about, okay, I just label a couple of drawers and that's about it. If we go see what's inside the drawers, we can see that maybe they're just hiding the dust under the carpet. And that's the habit that we really need to change, that waste is totally removed and not hidden. Then the third part is respect, which is super important. This is part of the 5S. Why? It's part of how the Japanese culture works. And as you know, 5S is the Japanese method. And respect has to do with whenever you don't do your chores, whenever you don't follow the procedures, you are not respecting the people that is coming after you, the other shift or the other process that is coming after you. So the main thing while we're doing 5S is to make sure that we are respectful to the other people that is working with us, to the customer that is receiving our product and is expecting the best, and also to the things. So we're gonna work on respecting things. That's what we're gonna take care of them in the right way to make sure they last for a long time. And the last part, it's empowerment. We will work a lot on how, as I was saying before about leaders, we need to make sure that the employees are the ones that do the improvements. They are not just things that the leader tells you, hey, this is what you have to do. They have to understand what they need to do and figure out improvements, figure out how they can correct procedures or how they can correct labels or empty containers or whatever, so that you keep improving all the time. If 5S depends on the leader, that whenever the leader is out or it's out of sight simply, and the 5S method falls. And that's what happened in many companies. I don't know if you've seen that, but 5S is a system that many companies have tried to implement. They just put some signs and define some methods for labeling, but that ends there. And that makes the 5S system really not working well. So whenever the customer is not looking, you have a hidden room, then all the trash is going right there. And that's not a real habit change. So you have to empower the employees to really understand 5S and take action by themselves. All right, any questions so far?
No.
No.
All right. So let's go and organize the workplace through 5S. So what is actually 5S? Is to me, it's a culture. It's a set of habits that drive individual productivity and team self-organization through a lean workplace. So the way I see it, 5S give a lot of visual signals or visual cues on how we want employees to behave. So you can see this in your family. Whenever you, I don't know, drink a cup of coffee and you just leave the cup right there, your wife may get mad, right? Why don't you clean it? You don't respect me. Okay. So that's what we don't want in the company. We want each employee to start what they need to do and finish it in such a way they're not impacting others. That's part of the self-organization. That's part of productivity because you don't have to review whatever you're doing. And again, you achieve all that through a lean workplace, a workplace that speaks to you. All right, it's an environment that will speak to you and will tell you what you need to do. All right, so again, it looks like a simple housekeeping tool, but it actually will help you, would help your employees to be more disciplined, more organized, safe. All the workers will know what to do, will be respectful. And one of the most important things is that problems will be detected easily. As the environment will speak to you, you will detect whatever is wrong more easily. You will detect when a paper is not being approved. You will detect whenever a machine is leaking or whenever a tool is missing. Something that you cannot see whenever you have a mess. As we saw in the previous pictures, you couldn't figure out what was missing or what was next. And that's the main objective of 5S, to help people know what is coming next. This is a nice example of how 5S can be translated into a picture. So what do you see here? Anyone can tell me what this means to you?
It looks like management is serving lower people by polishing their shoes.
Exactly. Exactly. Anything else that you see, Brian?
No.
Yes. So this is the managers of the company shining the shoes for the new hires. All right. So this is telling many things, but one of the things it's telling is that cleanliness is important, and I can clean your shoes because we are all the same. We're all important. It's not that I'm more important than you. This is a very important concept because as we discussed about connection, every part of the process is important. It's not just the manager is more important or a certain department like sales is more important. In 5S, all the departments are important, from a janitor, from someone that is cleaning the janitors, to someone that is the director of the company, to the sales person, to tooling. Everyone is important. And this is the way that Japanese companies use to showcase it. And the other thing is that cleanliness shows something about us. It's showing that we care to provide a good image about us, and that shows a lot about your company. Let's say that you go to a restaurant and you have the cook come to your table and it's all dirty. The apron is all dirty. What would you think?
You probably wouldn't want to eat there.
Right. But you say, why? Why wouldn't you want to eat there? I mean, he's working, right? Why his apron would not be clean if he has been working?
Oh, I was thinking the tablecloth. It depends on the restaurant. If it's a fancy restaurant, yeah, you'd be surprised at the dirty one. But if it's just a diner, yeah, that probably wouldn't bother you at all.
Yeah, maybe you don't expect that, but you said that maybe the tablecloth, if it's dirty, yeah, you wouldn't accept that, right? Or the
Right.
plates are dirty. So there are things that there are levels that you can accept and you cannot accept. As I said before, you can define what is the standard that you set for 5S, right?
Yes.
But the good thing is that you will always be impacted by that. You will say, this is suspicious, I don't like it. So you want to make sure your company is always showing a good image. So now let's talk about the benefits that we'll see. Let's show me the money. So yeah, I love that movie with Tom Cruise, and it talks a lot about what's the difference with just showing money right? What is it? If we just focus on, hey, what are we saving with 5S? But you'll see that there are many soft benefits that we also have with 5S. So the hard benefits are that you will have reduced waste on the floor and inside cabinets. You will have optimized use of space. You will improve safety. I've seen a company that have improved a lot the safety observations that the employees are doing whenever they're doing 5S and they are taking the habits of paying more attention to the environment. They start seeing safety things that in the past they wouldn't check or they wouldn't realize or they wouldn't care about them. So that's the side effect of 5S, that maybe it's hard to measure, but if you're measuring safety observations by the employees, then you can see that they will go up, and that's something super positive because you will have less safety incidents actually. Then you have improved detection of water, oil, and product leaks, improved equipment maintenance, improved inventory management and retrieval time, and you also have a better inspection of the locations. Some other hard benefits, as you saw before, the healthcare industry has a lot of issues, had a lot of problems when you have unnecessary distractions. So there was a place, an operating room in a hospital that implemented 5S to improve the infection rates, and they had a 68% of reduction in inventory. The infection rate decreased because whenever the way they were operating in the room, they weren't having these distractions before, which they were generating errors. But on top of that, at the end, they were also increasing the infection rates because there was more people going in and out looking for tools. So whenever you had all the tools in the right place, in the right way, you are faster, you organize your tools much better, you eliminate distractions, and of course, you reduce the infection rates. And as I said before, it's not only about the hard benefits, but we also have lots of soft benefits because the morale of the employees increase significantly whenever you empower them. Again, if you as a leader are taking the lead and are doing all the work yourself, or you are telling them what to do, for them it's not engagement. They are not feeling engaged with 5S. They just feel it's more work. So this is the first thing that you will feel with employees. Whenever you start implementing 5S, they will say, well, but this is not part of my job. I was not hired to clean anything. My work is just to, repair this, and that's it. So this is where you have to deal with explaining them why it's important to them. And if they start seeing how organizing things help them work better, and that they are the ones that can decide, okay, this is where I want to put it in this equipment, or this is how I want to clean this, or this is how I want to organize this, they will feel like the work environment or the office is like their home because they will own that part. They will define how to clean it, and they will feel more engaged. So you have to turn it more like it's everyone will have their own site, and they will decide how to organize that place. They will feel much more willing to work on 5S. They will improve also communication with the team members. Again, could be someone within their team or with other teams in other processes or with other shifts. The communication will improve a lot because the environment will talk to them, will show how things should be done, will show the work in progress, will show them what's next and how tools should be organized and what tool is missing. So the communication will improve significantly, especially with your wife too. If you have everything organized at home, you also improve the communication with your family members. You agree to rules, and you define where everything needs to be organized, and you know, who should clean the dishes or who should clean the floor, and that helps you also to avoid a lot of discussions. I don't know if you've heard of, but whenever the COVID started, there were many couples discussing and having problems at home because they were a lot of hours at home together, and they were not used to that. You know, you were used to go to your house at 6 p.m., just have dinner, go to bed. That was it. Now, whenever you spend more time with that person, then it's more it's easier to see things disorganized, to see things everywhere, because you're more time at home. So applying 5S during COVID time, I bet you'll save a lot of discussions with your family. Of course, you will have more joy at work if you feel more engaged. You will feel proud of it. The employees, and when I do many implementations, in some cases, the employees, after maybe a year of implementation, they are just so proud of their work that they just want to have an audit, or they want to show me, hey, I did this, I did that. They really feel proud for the improvements. But again, the only way they are going to feel proud is the idea came from them. No, you're not just telling them what to do. And as the environment talks to you, the responsibilities will be clear, because everyone will have their own location or their own instructions, their own schedules. So it's much easier to communicate and to define what needs to be done. Self-organization, it's at the end what we want to achieve. And there's the owner of a company, which is a marketing company, says that people feel valued when they are given the responsibility to self-manage. And that's something that nowadays you have to take care of. Especially with younger generations, they want to be valued at work. They want to be important. They want to be part of it. They want to feel like they can contribute to their work. Do you work with younger generations? You know, millennials and Gen Zs, people born after the 1980s, and the Gen Zs born after the 1995, or do you work?
Oh, and I do, yes. And they are kind of frustrating since I don't totally understand them all the time.
Yes, exactly. Brian, on your side, how's your team?
It ranges from early 20s to 40s. The younger generation, they don't want to put in the work or the effort, but they want all the positive stuff. They want the pay raises, but they don't put the effort forward. Yeah, as the older generation does.
Yes. So there's another training, especially for new generations. I'm going to show you then a video on that, so that you get a better grasp on that. But what I can tell you now is that it's not that they don't care. It's like they're not engaged. Like the older generations would feel engaged just because you are giving them a job, right? They feel the responsibility to do the job, so they will do it. They will not say a word. But the younger generations, they need more than that. They want to feel part of the work. They want to feel like they are really contributing with something, all right? So self-organization is even more important with the younger generations. When you give them and you tell them, hey, this is your location, you are in charge of that, you're like the owner of this small piece, that is crucial to keep them engaged, and you'll see how responsible they will be. They will be more motivated than the older generations to achieve that. But you have to get them there. You have to make them make sure that they feel owners of that small piece. We're gonna see more of that in one of the micro steps that is about ownership. It's actually the first one. So as I said, 5S has impacts on any type of organizations, for kindergartens to industries, offices, hospitals, and even at home. So from now on, once you finish this training, I urge you to wherever you go, you start seeing what are the things that you could improve, how you go to a restaurant, maybe you loved the restaurant before, but now you start seeing all the things that they could improve. So you will have, I'm sorry about that, but you will have that problem. I have that problem too. I go to every house and just see all the things how they could organize things in a different way to make it more effective. So, but on the good side, that means that you're getting the 5S habits, and that will help you be better at work and keep improving things. And if you can get your employees to be at that point too, that would be great. So bottom line, and this is really not expensive, it's not difficult, but you need just to involve people, engage them in what needs to be done, and make them part of it. 5S is a philosophy, is really a way of thinking, and it's like a stair, right? You have the first steps, which are sort or seiri in Japanese. Then you have store, you have shine, standardize, and self-organize. Those are the 5 steps. Many companies just focus on the first 3, just labeling things or just storing things in the right place. But it's good that you continue to standardizing so that everyone knows what needs to be done. So it's not just, this is how I organize my office, but it's good that everyone in the office understand how you organize it, so that you can move around, or you can use your toolbox or my toolbox, and that's fine. It helps whenever you have to, you have less personnel, you are more flexible, more agile to adapt to the situation. And the end step is to be able to self-organize. So I've talked a lot about self-organization. So what is actually self-organization? Have you ever heard of this word before?
Probably, but at my age, I can't remember everything I've heard.
Yeah, not much. Well, it's common in many companies, but it's not widespread. Companies learn to dictate procedures while employees learn to follow them and avoid asking questions. So self-organization instead is a process in which behavioral patterns emerge from the interactions of the lower level. So the employees that are the base of the pyramid, they interact in such a way that they already know what needs to be done. So this doesn't mean that we don't need a leader. Yes, the leader can help facilitate interactions with the team members, can facilitate with the resources, but the employees don't need the leader all the time to see what needs to be done. And you see here the image of fish, a school of fish. Any ideas why? Apart from that, I like swimming.
They seem to be organized, but I don't know that they have a leader. They just move together.
Yes, excellent. So apparently there's no leader. It has been studied that in biology, self-organization is very common. So you don't only see it in fish, but you also see it in termites whenever they're building their nest. Sometimes they are ears building their next nest, and there are several generations of termites, and there is no leader. Okay. Sometimes you see bees that they have the queen, but still, the way all the employees, the team members work is that they are self-organized. So what does it mean exactly? It means that they gather information from their nearest neighbors and from the environment on how they need to behave and what they need to do. So what I love about self-organization is that it's been so successful now after the COVID-19. The companies that were more working with in self-organizing teams were much more effective, much more agile to adapt whenever they had to move to work remotely. Why? Because whenever you work remotely, or whenever you have people working in other locations that you cannot see, you cannot check all the time what they're doing. You cannot tell them all the time how to do things. So what you need is people to know where to consult or where to check. So this is what happened with fish. Whenever they are swimming so fast that they don't have time to see, okay, what is the leader doing? Or they cannot ask anyone what they need to do. They just see. They just are very attentive. They pay attention. Remember the A for attention to the environment, and they see whenever they move to one side, they all go to that side. Whenever one go to it, the other goes all to the other side. Okay, so they just gather information from the environment and from their co-workers or their friends, fish, and they react to that. So that's what we need to work on with self-organization. It needs to be, well, whenever we're working with people, the self-organization teams are smaller. With fish, we see hundreds of fish. In the case of people, we expect to have ideally teams of 6 to 12 people, no more than that, maximum 20, because we need to make sure that the communication is not between the people, but the people, not between the people to the leader, but among the people themselves, So whenever you have a lot of people, you have to increase the communication channels, and that makes it more difficult. So the best team is to have between 6 to 12 people, so that you have different skills that can make decisions in different situations, and you also have not that many channels of communication. So self-organization is like a muscle, so you have to keep practicing every day. That's why I say you just don't use it at work, but you can use it at home. So until it's a habit for you, like to whenever you go up, you make the bed. Whenever you wake up, you brush your teeth. Whenever you use the cup, you wash it. Whenever you use the tool, you clean it and you put it back. So it's like you just cannot use your tool without doing that. Or whenever you turn off your phone, you charge it. Those type of things that are very little habits help companies to be more productive. So how many times you spend, or how much money you lose whenever you have your machine or your tool, you look for it and it's broken, or it's not connected, it's not charged. You spend a lot of time and you may lose a lot of money. I saw a company where they almost they had an accident. It was not bad accident, but could have been worse, where an employee from the previous shift was using a tool. It was not working well, but they just leave it there. They didn't do nothing with, it's the end of my shift. I'm off. It worked for me. That's it. Then the next shift took the tool, and apparently the tool was broken, and they actually had fire. So, and the fire was set just because the tool was not working well and was not reported correctly. So it's something that we always need to continue insisting employees on reporting at the right time. Most of our bad habits are due to laziness because our self-organization muscle has not been trained. So if you train your employees, and that employee that did not report that tool that was broken, he wasn't lazy. He was not used to do that. He was not used to report problems. So that's the thing that we have to keep working on. And the good thing is that, as I said, it's a muscle, so you can keep practicing and you can keep improving that muscle. It's not that you are born with self-organization or you are not born with it. Every employee, even the ones that you feel, well, this employee, he doesn't want to work, he is not gonna do it, I tell you, he's not gonna organize his tools. Believe me, in most of the cases, I've seen many employees that were the worst, and then they became the best 5S students, because they just took ownership. They felt like they were they were more engaged at work, and they started to get motivation again just by doing 5S. So I tell you, trust your employees. Not all of them maybe, but most of the employees will be able to achieve all this. All you have to do is ensure the employees respect the company rules even when nobody is looking. Okay, so that's the part of the empowerment. And the team will make sure all the impediments and the obstacles are removed. That's their job. How to make their job easier. If you explain this to the employees, that's how you will start engaging them. So, oh, this is a tool that will help me do my work faster and be cleaner. Okay, they will like it. So I want to share with you before I start with the five steps. I want to share with you the 3 principles that that you will learn to see what is 5S and what is not. So the first one is everything has a home and always goes back home after being used. So whenever you see in your company or at home something that, okay, what is this? This is a mouse. Should it be here? What is the home of the mouse? Should it be on the table? Yes, it should be on the table because I use it all the time. But then, do I have something that I don't use the time? Maybe I have this tape. Do I use it all the time or not? No, I just use it once a month. So why do I have it on the table? I should keep it on the drawer. So everything we use, everything we really need needs to have a home so that we can find it later on. As Eddie said, he was worried about 5S not helping them. Whenever he doesn't see the things on the table, he cannot find them anymore. Well, that's what we need to work on. Find specific homes for each of the things that we really care about. That will help us with the second principle, which is finding everything in less than 30 seconds. Whenever you're spending more time than 30 seconds in looking for something, it means that maybe it's not in their home. Maybe you define a home, but it's not there. Someone took it and didn't put it back. Or maybe it doesn't have a home. You have to define the home. Or maybe there's no system to refill it. Maybe it's I don't know, disk for a machine that you need to refill often. Maybe the last person took the last disk, just took them out, and they never refilled the inventory. That's something very common, especially in tooling. So it's very important that with 5S, you will not only make sure that you have the right things, but you make sure that you will always have the right things in the right amount so that you never spend time or stop to buy something. Brian, for sure, I'm sure that you know this, that whenever you're missing a part or you don't have the right tool with all the parts that you need for that tool, you lose productivity, right?
Correct.
So that's the main thing that we need to work with our team, how we avoid that to happen. There was a company that I was working with that they used to have a very good system where employees were self-organized and they were using all, they were refilling all the little cabinets with some inventory. But with the crisis, they're starting reducing that. So they were just having a common drawer where the leaders would distribute the stock. So the problem with that is that whenever the lead was out, for whatever reason, they were just in a meeting or the employees could not get access to the stock. So whenever they couldn't get access, they were delaying the process. So that's the type of things that we need to avoid. How we don't make the inventory part of the delays of the process. How we make it flow in such a way that employees know what kind of amounts they need to get in the right amounts, so that the work never stops. And the last principle is that the workplace needs to look like brand new. So that doesn't mean that you have to buy everything new. In many in many companies, they think that 5S is about buying everything. You know, the first thing they okay, let's do it 5S, and they just start by buying toolkits or buying toolboxes or buying drawers. So I don't know, Brian, if you started already like this or you're not yet.
No, we're doing that a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's the main thing. You know, you start with that. And sometimes when you do 5S, the first thing is sort, to remove things that you don't need. And when you remove so many things that you don't need, in many cases, you get empty drawers. So you don't need to buy anything. Sometimes you just need to clean the toolboxes, or maybe when you clean your toolbox, you realize you need a smaller toolbox. So before buying anything, just start with the process of sorting, and then you know, you get to the getting everything as brand new, but because you're maintaining it, you're cleaning it. In some cases, yes, you may need to buy them, but well, we'll see later on when we talk about the shine. So this is a little exercise that I want you to do, just to realize how important is that 5S will help us to remove barriers. So this is what you have to do now. Let's see if this wakes you up. Person A could be Eddie. Suggest doing something with person B, with Brian, who has to answer with a reason not to do it. Okay, so you will say, Eddie, you will say, let's do this. And Brian will say, yes, but. Okay, and then you will say, Eddie, you will reply back, okay, yes, let's do that, but. Okay, try to, let's do an example. You say, let's go to the grocery store. And then he says, yes, but our refrigerator is broken. And then you said, yes, but we still need to eat, you know. That still looks like something that you see very often at work. These bad people that is always saying, but. Is that common or not?
Not too much.
Not too much? Okay, that's good then. Well, let's see how it feels. Let's try to do it. Eddie, you want to start?
Hey, Brian, why don't we go to the Houston, what do they call it? Houston Texans. The Texans NFL football game, the first one they're going to have.
I don't have time to do that.
Yes, but we could, but you can probably I'll talk to your boss. Maybe we can get some time.
I'm too busy of a person to take time out of my day to do that.
But yes, maybe if you make it a priority, you can make it a priority.
I don't follow football.
All right. So how do you feel? How do you both feel with this when someone always saying but like?
Right. Yeah, it's not exciting. I want to talk to somebody that wants to do it and is excited about it. And he's just putting down every idea.
Exactly, putting down every idea. What about you, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, it happens. It just depends. Some people have a great attitude, and other people personalities just don't mix together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. So that's where we have to find a common ground. So through 5S, you should be able to find a common ground to reduce the bad people to the very, very small percentage. Why? Because if we have these people, many cases we like cut off the flow of work. Someone has a great idea, and then you have the other one that says no, or has, instead of finding solutions, they find more problems. So what we're trying to achieve with 5S is that people keep improving, keep moving forward, in small steps. You don't need to do very big things, right? But this just sentence saying but, that just as Eddie said, demotivates you, don't feel like working. So we have to remove that. So through 5S, we're gonna get rid of waste and barriers. We're gonna prioritize work. We're going to maintain the resources. We're going to standardize the best practices through team routines and visual management. And we're going to start asking the people to do micro changes, small things that they will improve every day. So the way I teach 5S, I mean, there are many ways. There are some people that decide to do a 5S day, and okay, they just do 5S for one day and that's it. To me, 5S is small improvements every day. So really getting to the right 5S world, you may take you like 2 years, okay? And to maintain it, or you never finish 5S. It's a long-term thing. But whenever you get to that point, people already know that everything they do is important, even specific micro changes or small improvements that they propose are important. So that's why we don't want anyone to stop that. We want to keep the flow. All right. So now we're about to start with the steps. Would you like to take a break now?
Yes.
Small break. Are you okay with 10 or 15 minutes?
Yes. 10 is fine.
Yeah.
10
That's
is fine?
fine. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back then 9:23, and right now I have 9:13. So we get back at 9:25, let's say, to make it round. Okay.
All right.
All right. See you guys.